Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today on Unscripted, we're sitting with a woman whose story is bigger than charts, markets, or headlines. Our guest is Wendy O, known to many as Crypto Wendy O, but long before the cameras, the algorithms, and the millions of views, Wendy was surviving. She grew up deep in poverty in Los Angeles, in a world where stability was fragile and safety wasn't guaranteed. Sharing one room with four people, hearing violence through the walls at night, learning early that having a roof over your head was the reward. When she lost her father as a child, grief turned into years of anger, depression, and feeling invisible, like she didn't quite belong anywhere. And yet she kept going. Wendy worked in healthcare, caring for infectious disease patients, carrying other people's pain while quietly carrying her own. She became a mother, faced burnout, postpartum depression, and moments of homelessness while holding on to one unshakable promise to herself: never go back to that life. When she entered crypto in 2017, she didn't step into an easy space. She stepped into criticism, harassment, and a male dominated industry that often tried to push her out. Instead, she built something honest, educational, human, a platform rooted in empathy, lived experiences, and the belief that financial tools should be accessible to everyone, not just the privileged few. Today isn't about hype. It's about resilience. It's about pain turned into purpose. It's about choosing growth when life gives you every reason to shut down. This conversation about survival, motherhood, fear, grit, and why Wendy continues to show up for the underdogs, especially when it's hard. You do matter, things can get better, and your past does not get to decide your future. This is Unscripted with a Wendy O.
Hi.
Wendy!
Why is this like a novella? Oh my God.
Like a novella.
It is
Girl.
like a novella. I was like, you didn't say a lie though. None of that was a lie.
You know, this is why I love this show. Sometimes we see where people are now, but people never get to hear the journey. People don't hear the struggles. You know, they see Wendy O, they see the superstar, who you are now. And a lot of the times, I think we get this stigma about having a very difficult or a hard shell exterior, but they don't know what it took to get to where you are. The grit, the hustle, everything. Wendy, you have a hell of a story, girl.
You know what? You have to help me write my book.
Yeah.
Yes, this is good. I like it. It's like so dramatic. I feel like I'm in a novella. No, but it's true. The only thing is I did grow up in LA County. And but yeah, most of what you said it's very, very, very accurate. My life is very different than most people, especially people that come across me in crypto. Now we're like vertically integrating into traditional finance. So I don't look the part. I don't ever want to look the part. And I'm just very thankful to be here and to really just to be a stay-at-home mom that can provide a living for my family. Like that's the coolest thing ever. Like I like to be fighting for the underdogs is dope. Advocating for the lab is dope. Life is good, but like I like the fact that I get to be a stay-at-home mom. And that's the best part to me.
Yes. And what a lot of people don't know is that you literally have a freaking story of resilience. Now, let's go back in time a little bit, Wendy, and then we're going to get to a little bit of the healthcare and then where you are right now.
Let's do it.
But
Let's do it.
let's do it. Okay, we're going to go to the early imprints of Wendy. Now that where you are, when you think about the little girl who shared a single room with her family, what would she be most proud of the woman that you've
That I
become?
have space, that I have my own room. Like I don't think people understand. Like I don't think that they understand how hard it is to share that small of a space with a lot of people. Because my mom was my two sisters, and then it was a two-bedroom house, well, like a townhome with my great aunt and my grandma, who were both immigrants from Sicily. They were born here, but then they went back to live at home and then they came back. So it's a very different upbringing when you're brought up with immigrants, especially ones that still have very much of that culture. And people don't understand that California, like Los Angeles culture, is very different than
Mhm.
culture, Brooklyn culture, than Italian culture. It's completely like a completely different mindset. We have this thing called accountability and shame. And if you shame, like, you are not allowed to shame your family. Like, you have to get good grades, you have to show up, you have to look good. It's a lot of pressure, even if you don't have a lot of money. So people don't like that type of culture that I was brought up around, because my grandma and my great aunt, they lived through the depression. Like they came here once they got here, the depression happened like a couple of years after that, not very far off. So to grow up with those with that type of now today, I'm very grateful for it. But I had a very strict Catholic upbringing, like, very, very strict, but I'm so thankful that I have I have my own office, and it's my own room, and some people are like, "That's ghetto, why are you filming in a room?" Because why would I spend money and go rent an office when I can just have a room in my house to where I can be at home? Like, I don't have to get up, like, I have everything I need here.
And to me, that's not even ghetto. That's like being able to have the luxury of having a room that's dedicated for your office, for your media,
Yes.
for recording, for your podcast.
People just say
Because
things. They just say
a
things.
lot of people don't have that luxury. It's like, how many people do you know, especially with art? Like you said, I actually grew up to poverty. It's like we had to share rooms and things like that. So when you're older and you're able to do that on your own, I mean, isn't that amazing being able to get up and just walk to another room instead of having to get in your car, drive, and go somewhere else
I
too?
had to commute. My commute when I worked in healthcare, well, first off, when I worked in the thrift store division of the corporation, I had to still drive like an hour round trip, no, 2 hours round trip. And then when I worked in the healthcare division to make a couple extra dollars an hour, it was 3 hours round trip. And try doing that when you're pregnant or when you're nursing or when they're rioting downtown LA and you're just like, I need to get home. Like, but yeah, I am so thankful I don't have to commute. And I did it for 10 years and it was a lot. And I'm so glad I don't have to do it anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, so Wendy, losing your father at such a young age, what did that grief teach you about love, security, and survival, especially now that you have a child?
Well, when you like, I don't like any adult human, like any other person, I don't trust them. I don't think that there's necessarily like I don't trust anybody else enough to love me. but
Mhm.
I love my daughter and I love my nephew. Like I think that you can love children very purely to where it's like because it's a protective thing because it's like once you have kids or kids are brought into your life it's like you go especially with women we are
Mhm.
wired that way to where we whether we adopt them or they're nieces or nephews or whatever, like you go into protection mode and you can truly, purely love kids. As far as it comes to adults and humans, I don't trust a lot of people because I've been let down so many times in my life. And just kind of watching how other people interact with each other. And there's also no, and again, my culture is a lot different. And I don't mean to bring like to be all cultural and stuff like that, but I think it's important because I was brought up to where honesty and to where accountability was big, 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 like especially within the family dynamics. And the reason why I say that is because like you have cousins that are checking you, your aunts and uncles are checking you. Like everybody knows if you do something wrong in the family or brings shame, it gets talked about. But people my mom brought us up very, very strict but the way she brought us up, sometimes our own family didn't even have that type of accountability or strictness. So that's where it gets a little bit murky. So love is important, but you can't force people to love you and you can't force people to treat you how you want to be treated. And I think boundaries are incredibly important.
Do you think that you know how sometimes it's like there's a saying that you treat people the way that you want to be treated, and then you start mirroring them, once that's not reciprocated?
Yeah. Yeah. I throw hands.
You sure do. Okay, Wendy, for many years, reading your story and a lot about you, you've carried anger. At what moment did you realize that holding on to it was hurting you more than it's healing? Because I think, life is about a healing journey and we go through so much.
I started like I remember I like towards the end of my job I hated it just because it became more of profit over people. And you have to understand the
Mhm.
group of patients I worked with that were HIV AIDS positive, these were men that contracted the virus back in the 80s, back in the 90s. One of my clients, he was actually at the time, and this was from 2010 to 2017, he was the third oldest human in the world with HIV AIDS, meaning that he had contracted it very early on and survived. And you have to understand this particular demographic of people, they they were met with so much adversity. Like when people are like, "Oh my
Mhm.
god," like when they like everybody's like social issue this, social issue now, which I get to a certain extent. But these people, it doesn't matter what their race was, what their social background was, if they were a gay man who was HIV/AIDS positive, they were discriminated against heavily. They weren't able to get healthcare. They weren't able to get a lot of that stuff. So the way that I viewed my patients, I kind of viewed them like family. And just to see the way that they were treated was very problematic for me. And I'm a fighter. Like I'll stand up and I'll say things, but I just remember like I had to leave the job because that and another situation that had happened with a woman that kept getting pregnant and refused to have C-sections because if you're HIV/AIDS positive, you could still have a family, but you have to get a C-section because the chances of passing the virus down to your child or your offspring decreases. But she only wanted to have vaginal births, and that when I became a mom, that just infuriated me. So, but back to what you're saying, it's telling a story. I just remember being so angry and so mad at just how society was, how corporations were. I would sit in my car and I would just read The Secret. I would force myself. I was like, I have to make a change. I have to make a change. I have to make a change. You disappeared, dear. There you are. Okay.
There
But
we go.
I had to make a change, so I did. I sat and I forced myself to read that book, and then I still am angry a lot. I was pissed off this morning, and I'm pissed off right now. But you know how to set boundaries for yourself, and you know how to decide to figure out what's worth being, what's feeling emotional about and what's not, and you're able to work through it a lot better. But it took a long time, and dealing with trauma and dealing with anger and dealing with just I guess imperfection, but imperfection in a way to where it's so different than your peers. It's upsetting, but I think it's important to work to do whatever you need to do for self-help to feel better because everybody's different.
Oh, absolutely. So when you started working in the healthcare industry, what was that was prior to you having your daughter,
Yeah.
right? Was
So
it like years before that?
yeah, because okay, so I got my life together and I was working at the thrift stores. That's a whole nother that was a whole nother thing. And then and then I was like, okay, the only way I could get a raise is I have to, go get my little certification. The company paid for certifications up to a certain amount. So I was like, I'm going to take advantage of this. So I went and I did that. And then I was able to get my little raise. And then there were certain things that had to be done in order for me to have my daughter. And we achieved those things. And then I had her while I was in healthcare.
And is that kind of when your perspective started changing a little bit more, especially, dealing with healthcare? Look, being in the hospital and watching the healthcare people take care of mom, the other people, it's a lot of freaking work, a lot of work, especially when you have kids in the mix and you know what happens in the healthcare industry and just the crazy aspect of it all. Like, when did your feelings towards, like, you know what, I got to get out of this? Is it like years into having the baby
Well,
or after the baby?
so this is the thing. I have a different work ethic than people. My mom, after my dad passed away, when I was in 5th grade, it was on Christmas Eve, so it was during Christmas break. Right when
Mm.
school started, we went back to school. We went back to school. There was no real conversation about it. We went back to school. We showed up every day. There were no mental health days. There were no, okay, you're sad, you're crying because you miss your dad, you're going to miss school. There was, you go and you show up, because if you get bad grades, you're bringing shame to the family. You were not letting you bring shame to the family. So regardless of how I felt, I had to get up and work because I needed to contribute. There were certain things we needed to pay for. Now we had a brand new baby. We had health insurance. We had a mortgage payment. We had, he had his 2 kids. So there's certain things that we had to do. So there was no me dealing with my postpartum and me feeling sorry for myself. Like, I get up and I go to work. Like,
Yeah.
like last year, for example, I lost somebody that I cared about very, very, very much. I still get up and I go to work. And that's just how I am. So I knew I wanted to quit the job. I knew it was incredibly dangerous, but I needed to, I was so scared of not having and going with, like, make me have it going without. So I ended up telling my daughter's dad at the time, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to finish school. Like, we have some money saved up, which I saved the money because women were better at that. But I told him, he's like, okay, fine. And then of course, him being the impulsive man that he is, he was like, I'm going to quit my job too and start my business. And I'm like, sir. And he actually, because I had been bugging him for years and years and years and years to start a business, because he was an electrician for a very long time, very good at his craft. But then his best friend was like, hey, I'm leaving the company, let's start a business. So that he did.
Mhm.
So we both had no jobs, but he, ended up working out. But it was it took me a long time to finally leave.
A long time. Okay, so then when you left, you went to school, and then you're like, what next? Like, at what point did you decide, you know what? I am going to change this and break, whatever generational
I didn't.
trauma, curses.
I didn't. I just knew I had read The Secret. I knew that I didn't know how I was going to figure things out. I didn't know what the future held. I just knew I had to keep getting up and showing up every day and putting myself out there and networking and talking to people and putting myself in new situations. And
Mhm.
because that people don't understand how important the network is. And this even
Yeah.
didn't even have anything to do with crypto. Crypto kind of just fell into place. The moral of the story is you put yourself out there, you work on changing your mindset. Even if you're so mad and depressed, because I deal with that stuff too. I deal with it every day. Like, I have to physically sometimes pull myself out of bed and write down 3 things I'm thankful for, or just things that I want to manifest. But it all just came and it happened. And I
Yeah.
was in the right place at the right time. I heard about crypto and Bitcoin again, and I was in a very entrepreneurial time in my life. And I got in crypto end of 2017. Family friend was like, you got to start posting on X. I was like, this is dumb, but I did it anyways. And and then I just saw all these people making money, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to stick with this. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm going to stick with it. And I did it, and ended up working out. Sometimes you have to put blind faith in and try.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Wendy, you've experienced things that could have hardened you, broken you, things that you could have given up. And, we see that with humans, sometimes they give up. And then, you say pain is growth. You just said something that is very meaningful to many people that may be going through struggles, that may be going through things that makes them want to give up. And you said, it's like you keep getting up, and, the mental aspect. What do you tell people, women, men, kids, whoever that are going through these challenges, and they feel those moments where they feel crippled, incapacitated mentally, emotionally, and they can't get themselves out of bed, to continue doing what they want to do, or building a business, building a show, building, whatever they're
Those
building.
are two completely separate things.
Mhm.
Building a business and getting it. So first off, like for men and women, it's different the way that because I'm more masculine, and it's just because I just am, like, just because of different experiences that I've had. But when you're dealing with men and women, there's a little bit of a difference. And then kids is a completely different thing. Like it really depends the age group. Are they a toddler? Are they a teen? Are they a preteen? Because with kids, it's a lot more sensitive. Like at the end of the day, even with my daughter and my nephew, he's 5. There's still like it's still the underlining message of you get up, you do your best, and you don't focus on the negative aspects, but you have to keep going. But then with adults, like when I talk to my sister, it's stop feeling sorry for yourself. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about this and this and this. You need to figure it out, and you need to just keep showing up, and you need to figure out what you need to do. Or sometimes you need to shut your mouth, read the room, do whatever it is. But it really depends on who you're talking to. But realistically, even when we're talking about kids, it is terrible to say. And this is portrayed heavily in society. People don't care about kids. Kids are used as props, especially when we're talking about politics. Women and kids are used as props primarily when we're talking about politics. And we're seeing it happen now with the Epstein files. So moral of the story is nobody cares about you. They don't care about your problems unless they can profit off of it. So if you want to be alive, if you want to have a good, you're here, you're alive anyways. You could either have a good quality of life or a bad quality of life. The choice is yours. So you have to figure it out. And I know it sounds kind of harsh, but my favorite thing that I've ever heard, and I remember it since a little kid, is God helps those who help themselves. And it doesn't matter what denomination you're from. What matters is that God will help you. Your higher power will help you, but you have to put the effort in. And if you start to put effort in, you're going to get dropped. You're going to get dropped blessings. That's how that works.
I freaking love that. I love that. So if you guys are listening, get your ass up and start feeling pity for yourselves.
Because who? Like, either you have a good quality of life or bad quality of life. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're poor or you have money. It's you get to make it what it is. You have to figure solutions out for yourself.
And you know what? You said something that is very, it hit hard, and we don't pay attention to it. It's the children, the women, and how society, whoever profits, is like, if you haven't looked into it, I was looking into it, the children and all of that stuff that happens down here on the border. And one of the things that I realized is that it is a $1 billion industry. And because it is a $1 billion industry, it's like, is that another reason why we don't talk about it much, or why it's not exposed, or the Epstein files and whatever else is happening with that? But
no, because
it's so crazy.
and it does happen to men too. It's not just exclusive to women and children, but women and children are more vulnerable, and you can take a look at the stats. And if you're like, oh my God, she's a feminist, blah, blah. I am not a modern day feminist. I am an old school feminist, where I believe I deserve basic human rights. I should be able to have a bank account. I should be able to have a mortgage. I should be able to have a credit card. My mom lived in a time where women could not get credit cards. They couldn't take out loans. So my great aunt, who worked at the bank, because she was one of those women on breaking glass ceilings, she had her best friend who also worked with her at the bank, who was a gay man, that signed off for my mom to get a credit card. I want to say it was in the 70s. And it was like 2 or 3 years before it was whatever. And my mom was just like, oh, this is cool. And my aunt was like, you don't understand how lucky you are to have this. So that's what I mean. Like, we should be able to have, when I talk about equal rights, like that. But moral of the story is women and children are more vulnerable. Society does not care about children, and you can see with current CPS and with how adoption goes and all of that type of stuff. And so it's very, you have to, when you're talking to people, you have to figure like another thing too is having social skills and figuring out who you're talking to. What are you talking to them about? But with adults, it's like I have a little bit less sympathy because you're grown. Life is hard. It's never going to be easy, but you have to get up and you can either have a good life or a bad life. It's what you make it. With kids, it's a little bit different. I feel like you should still show them a lot more grace and sympathy. Like I don't talk to my daughter like I talk to my sister or my nephew
Mhm.
like I talk to my sister, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Is there any point during this journey or a moment um, where you almost didn't keep going that you're like, fudge this,
No.
throwing your hands up in the air
In
and you want
in
to quit
crypto in crypto or my personal life?
in your personal life and
My
then
personal life
at the
every day.
moment-
I wanna give up every single day. There's my depression has got us like, the suicidal tendencies and the depression and all that type of stuff has gotten so much better. So much better because I can't like, I have a daughter I have to take care of. Number 2, I it's like I'm gonna be miserable or I'm gonna be here regardless. But with work, I'm petty. I'm very, very petty. And when people are mad, like when my presence, me just breathing angers people, I am going to continue to do it because I'm petty. And I'm not petty in a way where I'm antagonizing a situation. But if you come for me, I am going to I am going to not give up because because it's how I am. I don't know.
and then you have friends that you're like, I'm feeling some type of way, and one of them is going to bring the truck, the other one's going to bring the shovel.
Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
ask questions, just
yeah.
okay.
I mean,
So, Wendy, at what point did you realize that you had depression, and how did you learn to cope with it and
Since I
live
was a
with it?
child. Since I was a child. It is not
Really?
normal it is not normal for a child to not want to be there anymore. It is not normal for a child to have the feelings that I had. I knew I wasn't able to get help for it until I was, like, 18, and that didn't go over well because doctors back then would just be prescribing you all kinds of stuff,
Mhm.
you know? But the way I learned to deal with it was I was on medication for a very long time, and, like, I see people and their dumbass takes all over X, like, "This SSRI, da, da, da." Some people legitimately have chemical imbalances, or some people were inflicted with
Mhm.
so much trauma, whether they did it themselves or other people did it, that the antidepressant medication is good for them. Like, it was
Yeah.
amazing for me for about 10 years, and it leveled because it leveled me out, it helped with a lot of my hormonal stuff, but it also was a great tool for me to get to where I needed to be to become healthy again. And I think that the big misconception that we have is that people look at these, they're like, "Oh my god, it's bad." No, if somebody's on an SSRI, these are or antidepressant, whatever it is, these are temporary. You're
Yeah.
supposed to be practicing different types of therapy or exercising or doing working towards getting a better mindset or fix like
Mhm.
there's some people like me, I will always have depression. I always have all of the issues that I have, but it's about managing it. And I don't need to take those medications anymore. But I think that we should stop shaming as a society. We should stop shaming people for wanting to get help so that they don't do insane stuff. Like,
Have you ever been so emotionally crippled or whatever was going through your mind that you probably felt like you want to sit in the room, sit in a closet, sit somewhere and be like, you know what, at this point, like I don't want to live anymore. I want to off myself. And then
yeah,
how
all
did
the
you get
time.
yourself?
All the
How do
time.
you get yourself out of that?
You just do. I'm a crazy person. You just do. Like, this is the thing. It comes in waves.
Yeah.
And it's something that I deal with. It's something that I know I'm going to deal with. And you just cry and you get it out, or you just deal with it and you get it out. And like having postpartum depression too, like, no, like I knew that I was going to get it because I know my body, but that was a different type of depression. But you just you have to figure it out. And again, it goes back to what can I do to fix this? What situations am I putting myself into? What is my accountability here? Because in almost every single situation, we have the opportunity to modify the way we
Mhm.
do things. And it's about doing that. And it's about taking accountability. And again, in society now, we don't take a lot of accountability for our actions or for the circles of people we're around, which is why I have a very small circle. I don't talk with a lot of people. I'm very like to myself. I don't want any new friends. I don't want unless like God or the universe sends them to me and I know that it's a gift from God, like, I'll do business with you, I'm cool, but that's, that's that.
Sometimes you got to protect your circle. You never know what's entering, what's exiting, and going to come in, try to break your peace and chaos.
Yeah.
So, Wendy, entering crypto as a woman, when you did, a hostile environment. I mean, can we say it's still hostile?
It's not as
But
ghetto as it used to be. It's not as ghetto because a lot of these guys that were mad, they're married with kids now, which is good. But honestly,
Mhm.
too, like I endured a lot of shit and I'm made for turmoil. Like I'm so used to like uncertainty and to drama and to like this person, like whatever, just because of what I was brought up around. So
Yeah,
for me, I thrive in those types of environments. Same with healthcare too. Like you never knew what your client was going to be coming in with, like what type of mood these men were going to be in. And it was just like, I had one patient I remember him. He's a younger guy. He was newly diagnosed and you could tell he was a little trust fund boy from
yeah.
back east. But he came in about his Xanax or his Ambien just at the side of his neck, and I was pregnant. I was like 6 months, 7 months. That's when I really started showing. So I just remember I had my big old belly like this, and I just like sat with my legs open on the chair, and I lay back, and I just listened to him out the side of his neck. And and I'm like, "Are you done?" He goes, and I'm like, "Listen." I was like, "Take a seat over there, collect yourself, and then come back and talk to me." And I just sat like all big and fat and pregnant. So moral of the story is moral of the story is I thrive in these types of environments, especially with sassy men. And but I will say, like, it was really, really hard looking back. The stuff people would say was terrible, but I actually got in at one of the good times on the internet because I was able to grow my socials and network, and I had no idea I was building a brand and a business. So it ended up working out. So the moral of the story is life is going to be hard, but
Yeah.
you get to dictate how it ends.
I love that. You get to dictate how it ends. At that point, when you first entered, do you think that it was more difficult learning the market, learning what you needed to learn, or learning to ignore the noise?
It was hard learning because everybody would like if you did not code, which is it's so ironic now because a
Hmm.
lot of the coding being done by people that are vibe coding and AI agents. So you don't even have to have I use AI every day. I'm vibe coding every day, my SEO and my thumbnails and that type of stuff. But back then, you were told you cannot be in crypto if you don't know how to code. You cannot trade if you don't know how to code. You can't do the blah, blah, blah if you don't know how to code. I was like, okay, I don't know how to code. Like, this is not, but I could still be and I could still operate because I read Bitcoin's white paper. I knew this was a true decentralized economy and nobody got to censor me and to tell me what I could and couldn't do. But strangely enough, now coding might become obsolete. So my social
Looking
skills
back,
and
do
my
you think that
now
that
paid off. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So looking back, do you think that that's kind of accurate, or it's like people should ignore more of the noise when they're coming into an environment and then do whatever you think you want to do and learn it?
Well, you have to respect somebody else's house. That's number one. You always have to give flowers where flowers are deserved, or you can keep your mouth shut. You can choose not to comment. In addition to that, you need to be able to read the room and work really hard. Work really,
Yeah.
really hard. And the cool thing about crypto is not determined by it's determined by how hard you work, not necessarily who you are. We pretty much have, for the most part, yeah, there's a lot, people say a lot of dumb stuff, but for the most part, we have equal opportunity. It's based on how
Yeah,
hard you work.
pretty much. Wendy, you help millions of with your videos and everything that you put out there to understand money, understand crypto. You give a lot of information. But who helps you when you're overwhelmed?
I don't myself.
The what? Wendy, you need a team.
I have a team and I have a really great team, but as far as like I help I deal with like they help me and I pay them and I've got a great team, but like when I'm feeling overwhelmed with stuff, like I just deal with it myself. I'm not very trustworthy when it comes to people. I don't rely on people because like, it's yeah.
It's very hard to let go of that, right? Especially when you are used to overcoming the struggles and always being the
I just
only
don't wanna
person that helps
girl,
you
it's
out.
'cause I'm old and I don't wanna deal with the drama. I don't wanna do I'll always be there for my friends or whatever, and, there's people that I call if I need things, but it's like, I don't wanna deal with the drama. I don't wanna deal with the he said, she said, the I don't have time for it. Like, the petty stuff that I see online all the time about the smallest minuscule things when you could be out getting a bag, I just don't have time for it. I don't.
I think that you and I are on the same page with that. Especially when you get older, when you have overcome so much, you get to the point where it's like, you know what, is that even worth it? It's like if I am in certain circles and I am not making money, what the fudge am I doing with my life? And you have to pivot and shift. Otherwise, you're going to stay stuck. Like, but who wants to be around that? It's just crazy.
I just don't wanna be around the drama, and I like, people there's so like, with all the different communities, there's people dragging and subliminal this, and like, uh, I'm just I'm very much I'm in my Mariah era.
You're like the fudge,
I don't
this
I
and
don't I don't care. I don't. Like, you have beef with this person, you have a problem with this person. This is not real life to me. Like, this is not life or death. This is not it just there's more important things to focus on that I think that everybody can take a page out of that. And sometimes I catch myself, like, being upset. I'll see something on the internet, I'm like, "Ugh." But really at the end of the day, does it impact me? No, because 'cause I'm thriving and I'm
Have you
happy.
seen anything like that? Or like when people question your credibility or they try to attack you, what internal voice have you used or do you use to quiet down? Or are there any times where you've responded and you're like, fudge that
Yeah, I
today?
used to fight with people. I used to fight with people all the time. Like, you can tell me I'm dumb, you can tell me I'm stupid, you can tell me I'm this and that, whatever. But as far as street smart goes, and as far as social skills goes, and as far as dealing with incredibly complex situations that in some cases have been life or death, you cannot touch me on that. So people don't have to think I'm qualified. Like, I don't look like I'm qualified, and that's okay. But it doesn't matter. That's their opinion. Just like I don't feel that they're qualified to have a microphone either.
Have you seen any people or anyone here in this space where it's like they continue to give information and you're like, you are really miseducating the
You know what,
community
girl?
or the new
I don't.
people?
If they have an audience and they're happy with what they're doing, and they're people that enjoy their content or whatever, that's their business. It doesn't impact me. I don't care. Just as long as my name is left out, I don't care. To each their own. Everybody has different likes, different interests, different things, and that's on them. I don't care.
I love that message. So, in essence, stay in your mother effing lane.
Yeah, to me, I mean, I guess, like, now, like, the way social media is, like, people get clicks for talking crap about other people, and that's
Mhm.
fine, that's their business. But it's like, I'm not gonna concern myself with any type of drama, because I've got other things to focus on. Like, Lo has cheer tryouts today, and we're very nervous about that.
Oh my god, you're gonna have to send me a picture, a
I will.
video.
I will. She's like, "Mom, I'm so
Tell her I
nervous."
tell her auntie says good
I
luck.
will. But she's like, "Mom, I'm so nervous." I'm like, "Baby," I was like, "any rhythm I had before I had you was passed down to you." I says, "You're very talented at dancing and gymnastics and singing. You're a natural performer. You're going to get up there, you're going to do the best you can, and you're going to use your existing skills you've been building on and apply to this. And if you don't make it, that's okay too. We can figure out what you did not excel in, and we can work towards that next year."
I love that. I think Lo has a great mom.
Thank you.
The battles, everything that you've endured and teaching her and also teaching
She's
her
soft.
resilience and not to give up.
She's that girl. That little girl is soft. That little girl, she's so funny too. She's like, what does she say to me? She just says all kinds of stuff. Like, she has no idea how lucky she is. Like, for example, she has her own room, her own bed. It has a little top bunk, little bottom bunk, but she's in my bed. And she's 9 years old. We still co-sleep. And she wants to be in my bed. She wants to be in my bed. That's fine. But it's like, she doesn't understand how lucky she is to have her own little space. And
I love that. I freaking love that. Wendy, is there when you first started doing content and getting on camera, was there any point that you felt any insecurity? And then what did you
I
do to
still
conquer
do.
that?
I still do.
Really?
Yeah. People don't understand. Like, first off, I used to stutter a lot. and I have a
Mhm.
very hard time pronouncing things. I also found out I'm dyslexic, like, recently, so that's another thing that happens, and yeah, it's but also people t understand too, like, with social media, like, I look like a normal person here, but sometimes if I'm filming content like this, you can see, like, there's imperfections, there's, like, this makeup right here or the way that my skin goes, and you can see all of that stuff, and especially for a woman, because everybody likes to have an opinion on a woman. Right now, they're debating between Demi Moore and Monica Bellucci, which Monica Bellucci's she's Italian. She's a little bit bigger right now, but if she was in her bikini, they would have something to say about it. But they're mad about Demi Moore looking the way she is. So it doesn't matter. As a woman, they're always going to judge the way you look and your appearance. Like, my lighting could be set up however it is, but it's like there's always going to be imperfections. So that's really what it is. But really, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm still getting paid. I don't care.
Yeah, I think I would not expect for you to, after so many shows, so many episodes, so much content that
I
you put
still
out there,
do. It's still
you
like,
still feel,
no, it doesn't matter. Like, it's still, women were always going to be self-conscious for the most part. Most of
oh
us
yeah.
are. And it's okay. Like, the world is mean, but it's still, I've been doing it so long that, it does help. And I do have a lot of confidence. And that was one of the things I used to manifest, was be able to articulate or to speak clearly and to collect my thoughts and deliver messages. And it ended up helping.
You speak very well and you articulate yourself very well
Today,
because I've seen tons of your videos.
today.
I've seen tons of today.
Not
And
when
I'm
I first started, not when I first started, and it took until, like, 2021 to really get to be able. It actually, TikTok helped the most.
how did you get out of that? How did you overcome it? And the reason that I'm asking is, like a person like me, there are times where I am able to articulate myself, especially if I'm talking about a subject that I've done tons and tons of research or conspiracy theories. I speak, two languages, and sometimes trying to say that word either in Spanish or English, I get stuck and I also have difficulties pronouncing certain words.
Well, you
How
have a
did you get to the
legitimate
point where you are?
reason. You have a legitimate reason because, again, when you're first off, you should be proud of yourself that you're bilingual. I'm trying to push my
Yeah,
daughter. That's one of the things that she has to excel in: math,
yeah.
guitar, and in Spanish, because having a second language is incredibly important. Like, maybe not German or French, but like Mandarin or Arabic or Spanish, incredibly, incredibly
Mhm.
important. But you have a legitimate reason because your mind is going between one and the other. And I don't know if Spanish was your first language. My daughter's first language is English. So that's going
Yeah.
to make it a little bit harder for you. And that's not a bad thing, because you're also able to make content in Spanish, which could appeal to a whole different type of audience. So it's a blessing. So don't beat
Yeah,
yourself
I
up for it.
actually speak the Spanish a lot worse than I speak the English. So, I mean, at this point, I don't know which way to freaking go, but you know what? I'm embracing the journey. I'm accepting it. And I think like that does add to my character. But,
Yeah,
it's,
good.
and I think this is important. And I love that you share that because what I was saying earlier, people see where you are now. They see they don't see the hard work. They don't see where you were, where you started. And the last few interviews that I watched of you, I was like, man, she speaks so well. You're very eloquent. It's very easy. And it's just like, you're on it too. Like you ASAP, Wendy O. So I
Well,
was like, okay.
sometimes I dissociate up here too. Like, my body, like my mind is like going a million miles per second,
Mhm.
and my body's here. So my mind and my body are not always together all the time.
Okay, so how do you bring it together? Like, what do you do? Like,
I just
so
do. I just do. It's part of survival. It's like, okay, this is my job. If I don't do a good job at my job, I don't get paid. If I don't get paid, I can't have a roof over my head. I can't have food. I can't have these things that I need. So it just all goes back to survival. And it's not like, oh, woe is me, feel sorry for me. It's literally what it is. Like, that's the
yeah.
way that my mind works, is that, like, I don't come from, like, yeah, my mom and dad in the 80s, they did well. Like, my mom was she was a yuppie. My mom had no college education. She was an Italian woman, which at the very end of the 70s, Italians were still not considered white. My mom became an editor of Herald's advertising section for the newspaper, which is a very well-known newspaper in Los Angeles County. My dad worked in traditional finance. I think they were both making like $80,000 a year. My dad had a college degree, my mom did not. But like, I and then all of that went away.
Mhm.
So it's like we didn't have a lot growing up. Like my mom doesn't remember like a lot, a lot. But it's like we had a certain amount set for school for clothes for school. We ate whatever was made for us. Like we had pasta all we had the poverty pasta dishes, whether it's broccoli and pasta or peas and pasta or whatever. But it's like I just remember getting bullied and getting made fun of because I would come to school with like my pastas, or like I didn't get Twinkies, I didn't get those types of things. And I like, if I wanted it, my mom made me work. Like I started working at 13 years old from one of those damn Nokia brick phones because that was the cool, and a pager. It was a baby blue little teeny tiny baby blue pager. But it's like I don't have anybody I could call. Like if I lose my house, which not, but that happens, I don't have anyone to move in with. I don't have family. I can't if I need to borrow $20, I don't have anybody to borrow $20 from. Like I don't have like my family relies on me for help. So I have to get up and figure it out every day. I don't have a partner that I can rely on that can take care of that. I have to figure it out.
How does that make you feel? Do you feel like that adds more to, or like does it make you feel like it's a burden? Or
No,
is that something that you feel like proud
I know,
of?
because I'm in control. Because I don't have to. I don't have to, and nobody has to tell me anything. Nobody has to withhold things from me. I don't have anybody that's presiding over me, telling me how I have to line my shoes up, or how they want the house swept, or how they want their dinner made because it's not good enough. I don't have to deal with, and again, like partnerships are great. I absolutely love it. Love being in a relationship, but I don't have any fear that I'm gonna be homeless again because I'm in control of the situation.
In control of the situation. I love that. What does financial freedom mean to someone who once feared losing everything?
I love the fact that I own my house and it's paid off. I love it. And I know people are like, "Oh my god, why would you pay that off? It's a blah, 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 blah." Guess what? I don't have to worry. I could afford the insurance. I could afford the property taxes. Even if, God forbid, I had to get on government aid, I could afford it with what I was given. And knowing that my daughter's taken care of and my nephew's taken care of, and there's a place for my entire family to be, God forbid something happens, it's going to be tight, but knowing that it's mine and I don't ever have to sleep on the street, or I don't have to sleep on somebody's damn couch or deal with anybody in that level of society, which again, no shade to them, I just, not for me anymore. I don't want to be at a trap house. I don't want to be sleeping at somebody's grandma's house. I don't want to have people coming in and out doing whatever. Like that, to me, that's financial freedom, is having a roof over your head.
I love that. If all the platforms disappeared today, tomorrow, when we go to bed and we wake up to nothing, what part of your identity would remain untouched?
My integrity.
Absolutely. What do you want women, especially those who feel behind or counted out, to feel when they hear your story?
It's not even just about women, it's about men too, because men still do struggle. But what I want people to understand is, number one, you have to figure out how to take accountability. Okay. If there's a series of bad things that are happening to you, what is your role in that? Okay.
Yeah.
In addition to that, are you showing up? Showing up is half the battle. Are you feeling shame for your actions if you wrong somebody? Are you thinking about things before you do it? Are you thinking, like,
Mhm.
when you take an action, who are you hurting? Who are you impacting? Because remember, that's why I always tell people to have it to have an act of kindness, whether it's holding a door open for somebody or smiling at somebody. I have clients. I had clients that, and multiple of them. I have all the Christmas cards and the holiday cards from them. But I had multiple clients. There's one off the top of my head. I remember the interaction right now, but he came in, he's like, "I was going to kill myself, but you were nice to me the other day and you talked to me for an extra 10 minutes and I didn't." And there's a couple other cases of that where I would have, because you have to remember my clients, they're incredibly sick. Not only were most of them gay men, but that's a stigma, regardless of what black, white, Mexican, Asian, whatever it is. That was a stigma. Then they have HIV/AIDS. So they got that going against them. Most of them were not able to hold jobs down because the way health insurance is set up, and still is that if you have these pre-existing conditions, you have to show that you make next to nothing so that you can get healthcare. And this was back then before the ACA, and this is present now. So they had to completely cut off their livelihoods so that they can get care. And on top of that, medication makes you crazy. Like, there's certain cocktails you could take to actually hallucinate that they make with street drugs with sativa, which is one of the active ingredients. And I don't know if they still use it or not, but like, you have all these things that are going on, and some people have no concept of the others around them and what they're going through. So you know what? You can be a nasty person inside. You could be angry and mad, but don't take it out on somebody else, or try not to. I went off on Kaiser yesterday, but they had it coming. Because my daughter they were trying to deny my daughter healthcare, and I was like, this is not happening. When it comes to this is the thing. I'm the nicest person ever, but when it comes to my daughter or my kids, or any kids in general, I will turn into a monster. I'm that cigarette mom. That's like, my aunt was a perfect example of a cigarette mom. She was tall. She looked like Cher, had long black hair, and she would just smoke and cuss. But she made sure everybody was fed. She made sure all the kids in the neighborhood were safe. But you cross her, she is coming for you. She's coming for the jugular. So, but when it comes to my kids, I go off. I like, but other than that, show acts of kindness. But I think any parents that are listening to this understand, like if you have kids, if somebody comes for your kids,
I am going to go postal if somebody comes for my kids or anybody that I love or anybody in my circle. I don't mistake my niceness for weakness, my kindness for weakness.
Exactly.
I will bring out the claws when I need to.
That's why we need cigarette moms. They will fix America. Back in the 60s, back in the 70s, back in the 50s, we didn't have all this drama that we're having because there was always cigarette moms out there. They're watching the neighborhoods, they're watching the kids, and if you mess with they made sure that the kids were fed, that their houses were always open, and that if there was a problem or what there was an issue, they would come, like, they would take care of things. They didn't care who you were. They would Beth Dutton that ass. Did you see Yellowstone?
Oh my God, I freaking love Yellowstone.
I love it. I love her so much. I love her character so much. I wish I was as smart as she was. Like, she was amazing. She was.
And then her husband, right? Like, the way he treats her, it's like, oh my God, that, like,
because he knows.
Yeah.
He knows. He lets her be in her crazy. He knows who she is. And he just is like, okay, are you done? And that's a perfect, and again, this is not a real relationship, guys, but that's a perfect example of knowing your partner and letting your partner do the thing. And the way that she reciprocates is like, when the whole ranch thing was over, she made sure to get him a ranch so that he can do exactly what he wanted to do, what he was built to do. And that's how she showed his love. It's like, here's you don't have to worry. Here, this is. Just make sure to take care of me in my own way. And that is what a good relationship is when you do things selflessly for the other person.
That is very true. Very true. Okay, so Wendy, I know that we're almost at top of the hour, and I want to do some rapid fire questions with you. While I do the rapid fire questions, I do want to put some of our comments, the audience up.
Aw, I love it. I love Empress.
And we had Empress based, Rachel, Bella Spirits,
awesome.
Tammy in here showing some love.
Thank you, guys.
And you're inspiring them with your story. Okay, so rapid fire, here we go. Survival mode or soft life?
I'm in my soft life era.
Love it. Fear as fuel or faith as fuel?
Faith.
Discipline or motivation?
Probably now motivation.
Private piece or public platform?
Both.
Stability or risk?
Both.
Prove them wrong or prove yourself right?
Prove them wrong.
Scarcity mindset or abundance mindset?
Use a scarcity mindset to get to the abundance mindset.
Oh, okay. I like that one. Build quietly or build in public?
It doesn't matter, just as long as you achieve your goals and you're not hurting anybody along the way.
Hustle season or rest season?
Always hustle. You cannot turn the hustle off. My grand
Legacy or
let
lifestyle?
me tell you, my grandpa, before he passed away, he was legally blind. He worked at one of the amusement parks in Los Angeles, California, or LA County, he or Southern California. He was legally blind. He provided, like, they lived in an apartment. They never owned a house and stuff like that. But he worked until the day he died to make sure my grandma had her nails done, the basic stuff. And the way that he was at the little ticketing, back in the day when you would go park and you have to get the money. He's legally blind,
Yeah.
but the way that he would determine what type of bills it was by touch. He could feel if it was a 20 or a 5 or a 1. But that's why I say hustle until you die, because if he didn't work, he would have died earlier.
Wow. That is freaking amazing. Never gonna stop, even if my bones hurt and I can't get out of
Well, but I mean, obviously, like, girl, if you need to rest, you need to rest. But that was just that was a man that he was, is that he needed to
Yeah.
consistently be busy. So I think it's a genetic disorder we have.
Yep. Okay, one last question for you. Well, two. One of them is if your daughter watches this episode years from now, what do you hope she understands about your sacrifices?
She knows. She'll know. Me and her dad, we don't hide our past from her, but we also don't talk to her openly about it because she's not ready. So she'll know when she's age appropriate. That's why I
I
don't have
love
her
that.
on the internet, and that's one of the reasons why I don't show her, and that's why I don't do OnlyFans, and that's why you don't see me with cleavage on the internet, is because my daughter will eventually be on the internet when it's age appropriate, and I don't want her to think that mommy was a whore and that's how mommy made money. Which, again, there's no shame in that at all. That's their business. But just for me, I just want her to know that she can use her mind. And some of the OnlyFans girls, they do well, and I am happy for them about it. And they use their minds too. But I just want her to know. I want her to try using her mind first before she goes down other routes.
I love that. Is there any last parting words that you would love to leave the audience, people, anyone that is watching or that will watch the show?
Don't take it personal. Figure out how to grift ethically and legally within the constraints of the law to make as much money as possible, so that you can give back so you can take care of yourself, then you take care of your family, and then you take care of your community. That's the way we heal. And make sure you always get back to the babies. Always.
Always give back to the babies. You are a big giver. You participate in a lot of that. You have one of the biggest hearts, and we did not touch on that. Are there any agencies that you would want people to be aware of? Go
Yes.
give, donate.
Yes, 2. So first, the House of Ruth. I think it's a national organization, but the one based in LA County, I've used their services. It is a shelter, DVSA shelter for women, their kids, or men that are experiencing any type of domestic violence. Generally, domestic violence survivors are also part of sexual abuse, sometimes trafficking, other things like that. They don't care if you have a damn hamster; they will take you in. And I think, in light of how the JE files are being handled, I think that society needs to pay a little bit more attention to these shelters. And donate. If you can't donate, use food, like whatever you have in your house. If you can't do that, try to donate your time. And then in addition to that, always to the self-care lab that originally out of Pomona, California. It is a boxing gym nonprofit that uses boxing as a form of mental health for inner city kids. And anybody that has gone through any type of strife as a kid, that has probably gotten into a lot of fights, you get that nice rush after you beat the brakes off somebody, or vice versa. So we use that as a way. We use boxing as a way, as therapy, so that these kids, because a lot of times in certain cultures, depression is not real.
Yeah.
So we use that as a form of therapy. I support them to help our kids, so our kids don't join gangs, or they don't become dealers. They're not in the trap houses, those types of cases. And we have had kids, unfortunately, go down that route, kids that have been shot, that type of stuff. So those are 2 organizations. The Self-Care Lab, I know where every single penny goes. I was on the phone with Nita the other day. She says, "Do you need the financials?" I says, "No." But I just know that if I ask, I'll get them. So I think it's important to look to your local nonprofits and see how you can help. You can't donate your time. Go in there and see if these kids, they need help. They need all the help they can get. So to me, that's very important. That's how you get back to your community, because you get your kids right, then they're going to grow into be successful and responsible adults that will continue to pass down not generational trauma, but generational wealth, even emotional wealth, to future generations, so that society can become better.
That's such a beautiful thing. Wendy, I want to thank you again. I want to thank the audience, everyone watching, and especially you for coming on to the show today. I know you are a very busy woman. You're building an empire, and I love to see it. And
Girl, I'm gonna take a nap.
Go take a nap. And thank you so much for showing us that resilience is built day by day. And then no matter your past, it does not define you, and you still matter.
Thank you. All right, you guys have a good rest of the day. I've got one more video to record. If you're not following Leslie, make sure to follow her. And don't take things personal. Don't take life personal, okay? You're going to have to get up. You're going to have to work hard. Nobody cares about you or your feelings. So you have to figure it out, okay?
Thank you again, everyone. And this was Unscripted with Wendy. Stay unscripted always. Thank you again.